Hi, we're Ellis and Alan from San Fermin.
You're watching Urban Music on Alex TV.
Herzlich willkommen zu Urban Music. Wir sind heute für euch im Fluxbau und neben mir sitzen zwei der Bandmitglieder der großartigen Band San Fermin aus Brooklyn. Und zwar sind das Alice und Alan. Hi, you guys.
Hi.
Welcome to Alex TV and on the show.
Thank you for having us.
It's great to have you. Actually, you just played an awesome gig. I really enjoyed it. And it was your first time playing live in Berlin, is that right?
Yeah, that's great.
How was it for you?
It was great. I mean, for us, it still feels like kind of crazy that in cities that we've never even been to, let alone as a band, but just ever, that there are people who know our music and come out. So it's still kind of really exciting just to see that, you know. And it was a fun show, a little sweaty, but we got through it okay.
Sweaty's good, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe we can talk a little bit about your band history. You founded the band in 2012, I guess?
Yeah, I guess that's right. Well, Alan and I actually met when we were like 15 or 16 years old, so probably 8 years ago. And we sort of stayed in touch, and we had a bunch of bands which we would care not to mention on air because they were all terrible.
Oh, okay.
But then after I finished school, I went away to Canada, and I wrote this record knowing that I wanted Alan to sing all the male vocals. And I came back, and I started working on it with him, and then I recruited the rest of the band, yeah, from there we started touring, and here we are.
And how did you find the rest of the band?
It kind of ranges. So some of the brass section, for instance, they're schoolmates of Ellis. They all went to Yale together. But our guitar player was my guitar teacher at NYU in New York when I was there, and we feel bad sometimes. He has 3 kids at home and that kind of thing. And originally when I asked him to play, I said, hey, can you play 1 or 2 gigs with us? And that was almost 100 gigs ago. So I might have lied to him a little bit.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, and some are friends of friends, but we're all very close now. Especially when we're on stage.
So it's more like friendship than bandmates, just...
Yeah, I think that's how it feels most days.
That's pretty cool. Let's have a look at the first part of your concert then and see how friendship works on stage.
Okay.
Ja, wir schauen uns mal den ersten Teil des San Fermin Konzerts an. Viel Spaß dabei.
For your pleasure, I'm falling for your pain. I fight for your attention each night till you're sane. I used to be a lover, took all my meals to bed. I used to have a mother, but I'm young, yeah, I'm young. I used to go to movies in cars with all my friends. They always picked me up and dropped me at the end. I've died for your affection, victim for all your sins. I haven't got a religion, but I'm young, I'm young, under the bright lights, I hear them call my name. again. I'm going over. Take me to San Fermin. Used to write revisions, got wasted when I cried. I played the church piano when my father's sister died. I used to be a lover, took all my meals to bed. I used to have a mother, but I'm young, young, young. And under the bright lights, I hear them call my name again. I'm going over, 'cause under the bright lights, 'cause under the bright lights, 'cause under the bright lights, I hear them call my name. Please take me to San Fermin.
Melodramas are embarrassing. My cripple Henry, imagine menace under everything. I wouldn't worry, I'm not about to fall in love again. It's not a moment, it's just a crueler kind of punishment. When you've given up the sun and your heart is all fully empty, well, the best is yet to come. Love the enemy.
heart has gone to sea. Leave your lonely here with me. When you're awful alone, abide with me.
Oh, darling, I've been so miserable. I can't describe. Oh, darling, don't be difficult. I can't abide. Oh, darling, fighter.
Your friends are awful alone.
A lover's eye.
I'll be waiting here.
Oh, darling,
Believe.
don't be difficult. I
You're
can't
awful
abide.
Abide
Oh, darling, I've been so
Friends are awful
miserable. I can't describe.
When your heart is gone.
Oh, darling,
So sing.
don't be radical. I can't abide.
Yeah, we're back with San Fermin. And my next question is, until recently, the female vocals were sung by someone different. It was Ray Cassidy. Why is she not with the band anymore?
Ray actually has a bunch of solo material that she's been working on for a while, and she moved back to Milwaukee to finish that record, which is going to be a really great record. Actually, I've heard it. It sounds great. And so it actually coincided perfectly with the Europe tour where we got Charlene to come along, and it's been really interesting to watch the live set change with her, you know. And I think it's as a composer, it's an interesting thing to see a song be interpreted multiple ways, you know, from different people, but really a rewarding thing. And at this point, like, you know, I couldn't be happier. It's been really exciting sort of process to watch it sort of grow.
So you also feel like the songs are changing because they were sung by 3 different women already on the album. It was the girls from Lucius,
Right, right.
then it was Ray Cassidy, now
Right,
it's the
right.
great Charlene.
Yeah, no, it's been really interesting. You know, I think that there are different ways to interpret these songs, and I think one of the challenges as a songwriter is to write lyrics that can be sort of taken any of a different number of ways depending on how you deliver them. And so it's been really sort of cool to watch, you know, different singers pull out different sort of subtexts. You know, during the song "Oh Darling," the lyric is "Oh darling, I'm so miserable," and you can either take that at face value and you're really miserable, or you can be sort of mocking about it, or, you know, there's all different ways to do it. And I'm personally always kind of excited to see that sort of that part develop, that subtext.
So you don't think there's only one way to interpret your lyrics?
Definitely not.
I mean, you know, even singing the same part all the way from the album until now, I think I have a different relationship with even lyrics that I've had to sing, you know, from when I was doing it then to now. You know, I think you learn the character and that sort of a thing, and it's been interesting to have different female counterparts and do that kind of thing and work with different people on stage. But I think it's even true of, you know, the different players in the band. You know, our saxophone player, for instance, between you and I don't think he plays the same parts every night. But, you know, it's sort of, it always fits in one way or another. So, you know, I think it's a unique experience for everybody, and we hope for the crowd every night.
Okay. You recorded the album with a little over 20 musicians, is that right?
Yeah, 22, I think.
22, that's a lot. How was recording an album with that many musicians like?
Well, you know, at the time I wasn't thinking of it as a band. I was just thinking of it as a one-off, you know, just make the record, put it out. I knew I wanted to write a record. That's all I knew. So at that time, it didn't seem like it was any more difficulty to add a tuba or another trombone, or it was just like fine,
Just
throw it
one
in
more.
there. Yeah, whatever. It's, right. It was a tuba. And so I mean, it was really like almost a mini orchestra. And now we travel with 8 people, which is still a huge band, but sizably less than 22. But we're talking about watching these songs change. It's crazy. Our live set feels so different to me from the record. Seeing how the songs have changed and become about sort of fit to the individual players. And that was definitely a process of sort of trimming these things down from this larger version.
Yeah, sure, you had to do that because 22 musicians on stage, that would be crazy. But was it difficult for you to decide who was in the band, I mean, live on stage?
Yeah, I mean, it was one of these things that sort of developed organically where, we recruited a live band to play a show. I thought maybe we'd play a couple shows,
And even those were 13 or 14 people.
Yeah, even those were like 13 or 14 people. And then it wasn't really, and then we got a record deal, but we weren't sure how much we'd be touring. And so it's just sort of kept growing. And as that's happened, is sort of organically the band has changed a little bit and the members have shifted. But I think that's part of growing as a band. And it, I mean, I couldn't be happier with the performances that we're getting from these players. It's like, every one of them brings such a unique set of influences to the live show. It's nice. As a composer, you want to tease that out of them. You want to see more of that,
Yeah, and we want to see some more of you now. Crazy. Yeah, we will have another look at your gig now. Ja, wir gucken uns jetzt den zweiten Teil des San Fermin Konzerts an. Ich wünsche euch viel Spaß dabei.
Who are you, love, and where have you been? Do you know my face? I'm sorry, love, but I can't let you in. Love don't know this place, and I can't fall asleep in your arms. No, I can't fall asleep in your arms. So tell me a story and I'll put myself to sleep. Spider got me when I was your age, a Casanova. Funny people start sounding the same when you're old. No, I can't fall asleep in your arms. So tell me a story and I'll put myself to sleep. Take a seat, love, and bring me to Paris. Read me the Purple Land. I'll be able and chase you to Lima, holding my hat in hand, calling you Paquita and sing you to sleep, love, in the Purple Land. I'll be able if you are Rima, or I'll be your lamb. Don't prepare a place for you. Don't prepare a prepare a place for you, and I'll 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 prepare a place. I'll prepare a place. I'll prepare a place. I'll prepare a place.
These are the lands of parasites, getting there and hang on tight. Take what they can take and leave you bleeding. This little mouth's no good for you. These lips will suck you black and blue. When it's done, the teeth and tongue for feeding. Ooh, honey.
Your little hands of paradise, give them here and hang on tight. This body's been trying to find a reason. Your little mouth is talking fast, it makes my heart stir at last. Trying to find a face I can believe in. Ooh, honey. Keep her cased in honeycomb, that way she won't feel alone. The queen, she'll never have to overthink it. Oh, honey.
Join the moving pictures and be
The days of fooling around the past, better find out what would be. Your little hands of paradise,
there and hang on tight.
trying to find a face I can believe.
when I'm old enough. Found love in an empty gaze, try to fix it up. I found me a hopeless case. Oh, oh, I'll fall for you soon enough. I've resolved to love. Now I know it's just another fuck, 'cause I'm old enough. I sell lies like they're only drugs, here to pick me up. I'll fall for you soon enough. Oh, oh, oh. But it's a harder kind of fear. You best hold on or else you're in it. And when you think you're thinking clear, you're really tied up and committed. And it's an awful lot of talk, or a fight that hurts too quickly. Why do you wanna hear it all? So summer kind of August, Sunday best, when I solve your love. Maybe find a place where we could rest when we're old enough. We can have a dog and all the rest. We can live it up. August, Sunday best. Oh, oh, oh. Sunset at the T-ball games. I absorb your love. Maybe find a place to think of names when we're old enough. Make plans and we'll buy new things. Try to fix it up. Sunset at the T-ball games. Oh, oh. But it's a harder kind of fear. You best hold on or else you're in it. And when you think you're thinking clear, you're really tied up and committed. And it's an awful lot of talk, or a fight that hurts too quickly. Why do you wanna hear it all? With someone, some kind of sickness. Someone, some kind of sickness. Some kind of But it's a harder kind of feel. You best hold on or else you're in it. And when you think you're thinking clear, you're really tied up and committed. And it's an awful lot of talk, or a fight that hurts too quickly. Why do you wanna hear it all? Someone, some kind of sickness. Oh, oh, ba, ba, ba. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh, ba, ba, ba. I'll fall for you soon enough. I've resolved to love.
So Alice, you studied classical music composition at Yale. How do you compose your songs? Are there lyrics first and you arrange the music kind of around this, or is it the other way around?
It's all at once. I write all the parts as I write the lyrics, as I write the drum lines. It's all sort of like there's a lot of, I know a lot of musicians, a lot of really wonderful musicians who start with a bare bones structure with a guitar and vocals. I mean, I know, Alan on his own music, he does that. And I know a lot of the band members do that. And I think there's something to be said for that, because you can build a really strong sort of structure that you can for the song, that then you can build the instruments on top. But for me, I don't really think of it that way. Often I'll just think, oh, I really want to write a song with this saxophone line, so I just write the saxophone line, and then it's like, okay, now what's the next thing and the next thing, and so it all kind of happens at once.
Mm-hmm. And I read that the album is like based on a narrative between a female and a male character. Can you maybe describe, the idea behind that?
It's interesting because it certainly feels like a narrative in that they're considering some of the same ideas, but for the most part, it sounds like they're not really listening to each other, which is interesting in the way it translates to stage. We have to interact with one another, but at the same time, it feels a little solitary at times. I guess the character that I'm trying to get across is perhaps a little overdramatic, and the female character is a little too cool, maybe. So I think that it's certainly a narrative to some extent, but it's not always quite back and forth, in a call and answer sort of way. But yeah.
And how was it like writing songs in that kind of concept?
I mean, it was probably the most important part it was the most important realization for me when I was writing this record, to figure out to have them talk to each other like that, because then it made it that it wasn't me. And for me that was really important, because whenever I was writing songs before that, Alan can attest, he saw them, like they would be really over the top, and I felt like I wanted to put everything in every song. I wanted every song to encapsulate me, and that's crazy. Like that's not how songwriting works. But if you make it about these people who aren't you, you can sort of take more manageable, say whatever you want, exactly. Take more manageable chunks. And, they can say things that I wouldn't. I mean, it's like he could say something, really offensive, and it wouldn't be me, it would be him.
You can always say, it's not me, it's the character.
Exactly.
No guilt, right?
No good. You already made 2 pretty impressive music videos for your album. The one that really just touched me deeply was the one for Sunsick. Maybe you could describe shortly what it's about. Yeah, that's hard. That's a hard question.
That was the first music video we did, and it was sort of born from the 2 characters that you're talking about. There's having the bull on the cover of the album, I think sort of represents this sort of like overblown, male character a little bit, and the little girl sort of is like this overly feminized, like too small, too cute female character. It's like it should be almost a caricature of these things. And so I just got to thinking about what that interaction actually would look like, and I sort of wanted that music video to show something about, I guess, sort of how things get less magical, how things can be magical to a little person, but can be really mundane to older people, and that's what the parents in that video, it's a much more mundane thing for them. And I guess I just wanted to sort of play with those ideas, and also I knew I had this image of the bull and the girl standing next to each other. It's very powerful. It's kind of dangerous image, because if that bull runs away, it's really... and in fact, the actual logistics of that were really dangerous.
I can imagine.
Yeah, exactly.
You already mentioned the album artwork. It's also a picture of a bull, and that's represented in the video as well. How important is this visual aspect of music to you personally?
Pretty important.
Stephen Hawker, the artist who did it, has done. He did a really incredible job, because I think it would have been very easy for putting a big bull on the cover of your album could have come off cheesy or too over the top. But I have the album in my room, and that bull still gets to me. It's at once you want to look at it, but at the same time it's a lot. It's a very intense image, and so that he was able to get it across so well was really amazing. We were very lucky in that way.
And when you're writing songs or when you're singing the songs, do you already have like images in your head, and do you have a music video in your head for every song?
I don't know. I mean, at least for me when I'm singing, I've sort of, I'm pretty reserved as personally. So it's been a bit of an exercise to get into the character and sort of find my angstier places. So it sometimes varies night to night. You know, whatever I'm worked up about, I have to sort of get there so that I can convey it because the character needs to be. But maybe writing, I think there are definitely particular images that recur on the album. You know, and that's even true of the next album, I think.
Yeah, I think you know, the lyrics on the album, often there'll be little things that get repeated, little phrases. And on the next record, that's even more true. And there's some images I think that sort of carried some of the ideas. But you know, it's also something. It's one of my most favorite parts of making the record is thinking through the visual aspect after, because you talk to the artists you're working with and maybe your collaborators, the bandmates, and you start to think of the world that the visual world that this could represent. And then the exciting part is you get to make it, you know, and like you go to the movie set and there's the world, you know. I mean, there's nothing more magical than that. That's amazing.
There's the real live
bull.
That's
right. There's an actual bull that someone had to lug from Los Angeles all the way up to San Francisco just because you thought of it. It's crazy.
That's power.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I think the album manages to capture very well this like fear of growing up, this growing pains from when you want to become a person you want to be. Was that the emotional place you were in when you were writing the album, or where
and
did
continue
that come from?
to live in? Yes, I continue to be there. I mean, I think, yeah, and I think some people have said to me that it's a very quintessentially sort of 20s album, like you're in your 20s. That's sort of, and sure, like that's what it felt like. You know, I was 22, but also I think I wanted some of the themes to be a little bit more universal as well, and a lot of the themes of not really knowing what you want and not really knowing what to make of you know, these big ideas like love or you know, religion or growing up or whatever. I think that can apply to a lot of different people, and so that was sort of the idea. I think is to make something that felt like that time, but also all time. You know.
Mm-hmm. So your own experiences influenced the writing of the songs, but I also read that literature had quite an impact on some of the songs. And I mean, in Casanova, you can hear a certain line that says something about a book called The Purple Land.
Yeah.
Maybe you can tell us a bit more about that.
There's a lot of literature references on the record because I was writing songs sort of for the first time in a serious way. Like Alan and I had a couple bands before, but the songs weren't even about, like, they weren't about serious things. It was like how can you impress this girl or whatever, you know? And so like all those songs were like kind of light, you know? So this was the first time I was trying to write something that said anything. And I leaned a lot on books because they also say things, you know?
Sounds logical.
Yeah. And, you know, and I guess, like, you know, I was reading a lot of, like, romantic, sort of Victorian-era romance novels, which are these totally overblown, kind of poorly written sometimes things, but they are all about this, you know, like, really intense experience. And in a way, I was trying to celebrate that kind of thing. So that was, The Purple Land is a book in the, you know, written in the, I guess, Victorian era, sort of late 1800s, and it's about someone who goes off to the jungle and finds this romance, and it's this very, like, extravagant story, and the fact that you could live your life that way, or you could live your life just having a job and, like, being a normal person was something that, like, freaked me out. You know?
Okay. And you also played some of the new songs tonight, so you have a new album coming out. Do you know already when it's coming out?
We haven't quite set a date, but it should be at the beginning of 2015.
Okay. And what will be the topics on this album? What will it be about?
You know, it's interesting because I sort of get to the record. Ellis goes away and writes the whole thing, and then we spend a lot of time sort of sorting out what it's about. And you know, sometimes when I'm the second set of eyes, things work themselves out. But I think it's basically an extension on, you know, on this one. Not so much an extension on the same story, but similar ideas of, you know, what are the human problems that you're wrestling with at the moment. And I think for most people, if you're paying attention, there's things in your life that you can get worked up about, and that whether that's love or what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, or what you could possibly be doing, or that sort of a thing. So I think it still has the struggle of multiple perspectives on what your day-to-day life is and that kind of a thing. Yeah. It's also still sorting itself out a bit.
So you stay true to yourselves?
We do our best.
Okay. Sounds pretty interesting. I'm so looking forward to your new record. Unfortunately, our time's up now. But thanks for the interview. It was really nice meeting you.
Thank you. It's very nice to meet you.
Thank you very much. Ja, liebe Zuschauer, wir sind leider schon am Ende von Urban Music angelangt. Ihr könnt euch aber diese und andere Folgen gerne in Endlosschleife auf YouTube angucken. Da freuen wir uns auch drüber. Jetzt habt ihr aber noch den letzten Konzertteil von San Fermin vor euch. Ich wünsche euch ganz viel Spaß dabei und wir sehen uns beim nächsten Mal. Tschüss!
I saw it all. Happened on the golden sheets. In the morning, you were asleep, hazy in your golden days. There was a child moving on a mother's breast, breathing only dust in the light. But it's awfully hard to dream. A night in my mother's arms, black as morning, wearing the lights, glowing so my sister could see. I felt it all. But it's awfully hard to talk about it, try to recall the girls when I was 17, a dream. Afraid when I left my home, and my mother, sadness, my friend, she used to play for me and sing.
to fight when it's going quickly and it's alive. We're half asleep. There's no rosy almost days behind. These painted lady eyes, let them know all that they love. Get over me. But it's what we have got to talk about. When inside you're freaking out, when it's going quickly and you're down. But it's what we have instead of fun. What we have instead of fun.
I wish I could talk to you.
Instead of fun. But it's what we have
I
instead
don't
of
wanna
fun.
die
What we have instead of fun.
lying on the
We have
bed of
instead of
sheets.
fun. Or anything. What we have
I have felt it all,
like the moment after love.
but you know it's awfully hard. I don't wanna die lying in my mother's bed in the morning.
If I don't find my one true love, I don't care. I don't bite on caramel eyes. I am not a patient girl, and I can't fall asleep in yours. No, I can't fall asleep in yours. Feeling awful free. Is there something wrong with me? And I can't fall asleep in yours. No, I can't fall asleep in Why are you so low, I wonder? Tell your feelings to your mother. Darling, don't be dull
so much. We love you, Berlin. Well, I don't feel better when I'm fucking around, and I don't write better when I'm stuck in the ground. So don't teach me a lesson, 'cause I already learned. Yeah, the sun will be shining and my children will burn. Oh, the heart beats in its cage.
Feel. See, I'm stuck in this city when I belong in a field. Oh, we can love, 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 love. Now it's 3 in the morning and you're all the friends that laugh
All of those you love, you mistrust. Me, I'm just not quite myself. Look around, there's no one else left. I went to the concert and I fought through the crowd. Yeah, I got too excited when I thought you were around. Oh, we get to laugh, 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 laugh. Yeah, I'm sorry you were thinking I would steal your fire. Oh, the heart lives in its cage.
oh yeah. It's in its cage. Yeah.
The heart beats in its cage. We love you so much.
Thank you. We'll be over there. Please come talk to us. We have CDs and t-shirts and all that good stuff.
Come say hi.